Hey, did you know that customers in 2023 were happier than ever with the car buying process? And the average shopper is actually about 50 years old and probably more affluent than you might think. Well, there's a ton of great information that Cox Automotive was able to discover in our annual car buyer journey survey and our digitization of car buying surveys. So stay tuned, check it out. I'm going to take you through each of these surveys and point out some of the key metrics that you want to be paying attention to with Dropping Knowledge with Noah. All right, let's jump into the meat of this Cox Automotive car buyer journey and digitization of car buying studies. That's a lot of words to fit into one sentence. It was kind of hard to say, but let's keep it going. And I'm going to kick it off with this chart right here. It gives us a lot of insight into the demographics of the folks who are buying cars right now. I'm going to switch over so you can actually see the screen a little bit better here. Now, normally I was thinking that your typical car shopper are, folks with money, and that demographic is going to be your baby boomers. Well, I was wrong. Actually, the majority of folks who are buying cars in 2023, and obviously going to be going into 2024, are your millennials and Gen Xers, right? Taking up more than 60% of the buying public. Baby boomers only took up about 26% of those shoppers out there. Now, the other thing that really kind of stuck out to me is the pre-tax annual household income was $100,000. That's pretty good. And the amount of people who had super prime credit, so that's over 750 credit score, was 43%. So you've got shoppers with money to spend who have good credit, are going to get decent financing. Now, obviously, they're dealing with some challenges still. Prices are still fairly high and interest rates are still really high. But we're moving towards a demographic that's going to be more comfortable using technology as part of that buying process versus baby boomers, who might have started using a computer in the mid 90s. They're not quite as comfortable using a digitized process. They might want to do it the old school way. So we don't have to worry too much about them because the majority of the shoppers are going to be your millennials and Gen Xers. But there's more. Let's talk about that satisfaction with that car buying journey. So it actually surged, and it was driven by used vehicle buyers. So we saw kind of an all-time high for satisfaction with the shopping experience and the retailer experience in 2020. And I think it was just people were freaked out and they were really happy to be able to buy a car. Interest rates were ridiculously low. Right around the beginning of 2020, prices were pretty decent. And manufacturers were just tossing out incentives like crazy, like 0% financing for 84 months on a brand new, pickup truck. I mean, insane deals. And more people were buying online than ever before. So we saw a huge increase in that shopper, satisfaction overall. But 2021, 2022, that started to drop off. Well, why? Inventory challenges. And that meant higher prices and MSRP markups. So a dealership could get away with throwing a $5,000 markup on all sorts of different vehicles. And we also saw the rise in interest rates in about 2022. 2023, what's happening? Inventory's definitely come back. We're seeing incentives from manufacturers starting to come back. And it's becoming more of a buyer's market. So they're happier with that process. The other thing that we're seeing is a much higher adoption of technology in the buying process. So it's becoming easier and more transparent and more efficient for buyers to go through that process, and they're happier with it overall. Now, we also saw an increase in the number of people who said that the buying process or the experience was actually better than it was before at 38%. Right? That's really cool. And the only other time that it was higher was back in 2020, which was really kind of a crazy time. So we're seeing more people using more technology in part of that buying process, and that's providing a better experience for them overall, which is really great. And I'd say a big driver of this overall improvement in the shopper experience was the time spent buying the car. So in 2023, the average time spent buying a car, so that's researching and shopping for their vehicle online, talking with their friends about their vehicle, visiting other dealerships or sellers, and then finally the time spent in the dealership, overall that dropped by about an hour versus 2022. Now there's still room for improvement, and I think it's going to be right here where it's with the dealership or seller where it was purchased. It said 2 hours and 52 minutes. That was not exactly great, and here's why. In a previous Cox Automotive shopper journey survey, we saw that shoppers wanted the in-store process to be 90 minutes or less. 2 hours and 52 minutes, that's more than an hour beyond that time limit. So customers are spending more time than they'd like to in the dealership. That means that we've got a big opportunity to streamline that in-store process using technology. Now, here's another great kind of marker of kind of the health of the industry and health with regards to that in-store experience, the overall buying experience, right? So dealerships said that digital retailing improves the customer experience and also creates a more personalized connection with their shoppers. I think that's huge because the thing that declined as far as barriers go was that lack of personal connection with shoppers. In 2022, 40% of dealerships said that they had a lack of a personal connection with their shoppers. Now only 26% of dealerships are saying that. So we're seeing dealerships actually using technology to bridge that kind of personal connection gap and building more trust with their shoppers by being more transparent in more steps of that buying process. Now, there's still plenty of opportunities for improvement too beyond just time spent in the dealership, and that's around consistency and building trust. So you can see right here, the top areas of importance for online to in-store process consistency for shoppers. 90% said that they want the price to be the same online versus in the dealership. I think we've all experienced this before. You look at a car on Auto Trader, you find that it's the best priced, Acura MDX in your area. You're so excited about it. You call the dealership up or you go into the dealership and they say, yeah, that's the price of the vehicle, but we have a mandatory protection package that you have to buy for $4,000 more. Not exactly a great experience for that shopper. And now that we're in a buyer's market, you can't really get away with that because there's other inventory out there. Dealership or a customer can basically say, you know what? That's not for me. I'm going to go find another vehicle. The other thing here, deal terms are same online versus in the dealership. So customers want to make sure that the deals that they're setting up online are going to be the same or similar to in the dealership. Now, obviously, there's always going to be, some changes in the deal. Like if they haven't applied for credit yet and they, report that they've got an 800 credit score, if they apply for credit, find out that they have a 650, that's going to change the deal terms. But we want to allow shoppers to put more of their information in up front and self-report so we're as consistent as possible when they do come into the store and see what their payment's going to be. And finally, making sure that the vehicle details are the same online versus in the dealership. So what do we mean by that? That's consistency with merchandising, and really good merchandising is critical here. So good photos, high quality photos, and lots of them. 360-degree spins, videos, right? Good comments to describe the condition of that vehicle. Because the last thing that a customer wants to have is, a bait and switch with the condition of their vehicle. Hey, this looks great from this angle, and one of 3 photos of that car, and then I come into the dealership, find out it's got a dent in the left rear quarter panel that wasn't disclosed. Not a good experience, and it's going to turn off that shopper from your dealership basically for good. So let's keep it going. This is another big one, and I think this is going to be the number one area of improvement or opportunity for dealerships, and that's saying where we saw that 97% of dealers said that customers complete steps online and then have to repeat them in the store. So that really points to having a smooth online to in-store transition. What does that mean? Okay, somebody starts their deal online, fills out their credit app, maybe picks their terms, puts in their trade-in, all of this different stuff. And then when they come into the dealership, the salesperson asks them the same questions to get the same information they've already submitted. Basically, getting them back to square one. You can kind of think of it like chutes and ladders. They've come this far on the map and then they hit a slide and they're all the way back to square one. Not exactly a great experience for the shopper, and also not good for the dealership because you're taking more time. and you're not as efficient. You're wasting your employees' time, and that means that you're unable to complete as many deals throughout the day. Now let's go to the next one here. And this is going to be where we talk about the key takeaways in this car buyer journey. There's actually going to be, what's going on in the industry, and then what can dealerships do? So number one, we saw that vehicle ownership is here to stay. I didn't show that slide, but before the pandemic, we actually saw a lot of shoppers kind of considering maybe not owning their vehicle, maybe signing up for a subscription service. But the pandemic actually shifted consumer mindsets to more personal vehicle usage, right? So they want to own their vehicle. They like to own it because it's good to own your own car and have that kind of sense of security around it. Number two, 2023 satisfaction with the overall buying journey improved. It's probably, close to the best it's ever been. Now, I got to say kudos to the dealerships, right? You guys did a good job of improving your processes, providing a better shopper experience overall. We also saw an increase in inventory levels and a slight decrease in prices. So that's good for dealerships. Customers are happier with that process, but we also got to keep an eye out because inventory is higher. We got to have more incentives. Prices are going down. And that ties right into number three, the dealership experience is consistently positive. Hey, once again, more kudos to the dealerships out there. And here's why. When I started in this business 13 years ago, the analogy that was told to me about buying a car was it was like a root canal. Actually, people preferred getting a root canal to buying a car. Now it's better than ever. So nice job improving your processes, investing in technology, and really focusing on the customers. But there is still plenty of room for improvement. And that goes right into buyers overwhelmingly preferring an omni-channel approach to car buying. They want to buy cars on their terms. They don't want to get forced into having to come into the dealership and spending 4 hours there using old school, writing down numbers on a piece of paper and walking back and forth, dog and pony show. They want to start their deal online, get it all set up, and then when they come into the store, pick it up from where they left off and have it be faster than ever. Now, not everybody is going to start their deal online. That doesn't mean that you can't have a digitized process when they come into the store using the modern tools that we have out there like Retail 360. And then finally, we found that electric vehicle buyers were the most satisfied with the buying journey in 2023. Here's why. On average, an EV buyer was about 41 years old, so actually younger than the average of about 50, so they're more tech forward. They actually had a little bit more income. And the other thing too was the EV buying process was way more tech forward overall, right? More manufacturers are investing in that omni-channel approach, allowing people to do more of that process at home and empowering dealerships to pick up that deal where that shopper left off, or even doing the process totally online. And that's where we saw really high EV consumer satisfaction levels. Let's talk about the key takeaways for dealerships and kind of how they can maximize their dealership performance in 2024. Number one is going to be investing in digital and AI-powered tools to provide a single view of the customer. So you want to have more information on your customers, right? You don't want to go into your customer conversations blind. So you want to use tools like Cox Automotive's AI buying signals tool inside of VIN Solutions to have an understanding of who your customer is by how likely they are to buy a vehicle, what kind of vehicle they're interested in, what their budget is, what their current vehicle is, what their trade-in might be, what vehicles they've been looking at. That's going to empower your salespeople to provide a better experience for your shoppers and provide a better overall selling experience for that shopper. Number two is you're going to maintain a comfortable, trusting environment for shoppers. What that means is you got to be transparent. Invest in digital retailing to provide that transparency around the pricing. Do a good job of merchandising your inventory with high quality photos, videos, 360-degree spin so people can really see every detail of that car, because when they decide to come into the dealership, that's a big commitment for them. You don't want to betray that trust, right? Number three is enable and encourage shoppers to leverage your online capabilities. So if you've got digital retailing, you want to sing from the rooftops that you've got this amazing tool that's going to provide transparency and streamline that process so they're not spending 3, 4, 5 hours in the dealership, right? Let's get it done in an hour. Do all the process at home so when you're ready to come in, we've got this vehicle served up on a silver platter and ready to go. And finally, Go beyond just having those digital tools on your website. You want to invest in them in your dealership. So if they did start their deal online, you can pick it up in store seamlessly, not have to re-enter information, not have to re-enter information when you pass it along to your different systems. And number two, not everybody's going to start their deal online. Maybe they just walk into the store and point at a car and say, hey, I want to buy that today. You still want to have a digital process to take them through each step of the car buying journey. So that's it. I hope you guys learned something today. Tons of information out there. I have included links to both of these studies in the details of this video, so check them out. And stay tuned. I'm going to be coming out with a whole lot more content for Dropping Knowledge with Noah. Thanks again, and have a good one.